What's up, y'all? It's your host, Nkeshiku, also known as Sensei. Okay, let's say thank you for clicking on the video. Make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, the whole 9 yards. But before we even get to that, make sure everyone if you are in Minnesota at this moment, please be safe. Protest as you will. Just keep you, your peoples, and as well as your community safe. That's the one that I will like to stress. I will give it a moment to really get all my thoughts out at this moment, but I will come back to it. But back to the episode. I know I'm a couple weeks late, but I absolutely know that you have seen this latest Druski sketch. I know I'm about like 2-3 weeks late, but I needed to take a step back and really think about my thoughts before coming to y'all about this. All right. Number one, I like to say Druski is very talented at making something that everybody in this specific niche and community have experienced and bring it to the forefront, where you're like, oh yeah, no, I could draw upon that outfit. Oh no, I could draw on that lights. Oh no, I could draw upon the charisma of the pastor that's talking to the deacon on the other side of the room, and this monumental power that they feel, as it not just feel, that we all feel like they have once they enter that pool pit. But also, I find it so hilarious when everybody was willing to laugh at another group when they're making jokes about another. But when they start putting that magnifying glass on you, it's like, oh, no, you cannot make fun of him. That's impossible. That is sacrilege. Folks was saying this was blasphemy. All right. I know y'all love y'all pastors, but it cannot be. I don't think that's what the word means. But beyond that, I would like to highlight a couple more things. It feels as if the PR behind church and Christianity has been so negative and been so terrible upon like the mainstream for so long. At least, you know what? No. Let me take a step back. At least recently, the PR has been terrible. But I want to stick with the idea of mega churches for this video. I've had this opinion for a while where it feels as if mega churches have always been this Alcatraz on the vision of Christianity for so long. So for me personally, I've always felt like it seems a little counterintuitive for a megachurch to be able to exist because it reminds me of the Righteous Gemstones, if y'all ever watched that show, where you have this family that has built such an obscene amount of wealth behind the idea of preaching the word of the Lord, basically getting paid off of the word of God, seeking earthly riches for the platitude of the one above, or in my personal opinion, in spite of, that's a whole other conversation. And as it goes on, I find it so interesting where not just the fact that it's allowed to exist, but the way that it's able to not just hoard, but collect so much funds from a very, from the amount of importance that folks put upon like a mega church and how people tend to live their life around religion in the first place, and it just gets moved on to the up degree when you do go to a mega church. I find it interesting how they're able to do all this and still claim Lord is the one and above all of this. All right, let's talk about the skit real quick. I love how specific Druski was with this skit, from the outfit, from the blood on the shoes, to the car outside, to the money spreading, money counting it. You ever watch South Park and then you see what's his face? You see Eric and he's like, oh yeah, no, I'm gonna make a butt ton of money from this. I know, see, he does that multiple times, but I feel like that's like the underlining tone of a megachurch in and of itself. One of the main pushbacks I'm seeing a lot of people talk about, like, oh yeah, no, you're not supposed to talk about pastor that way. That's sacrilege. It feels as if you are making fun of God, because that is the man of God. That is the individual that God has bespoke on the land to speak about God. I sit back. I always forget that the only difference between, well, the only thing that I see as a difference between a cult and a Christian church is the fact that we are right and they just are wrong. That's the only difference, because of cults have cults have done this thing where they mirror themselves to a lot of religion to give itself a lot of validity, and not just validity, but they use a lot of the same psychological training to set people up to believe this world that they are speaking about is the true world that they're going about, that they are creating. Like like we think about the People's Temple, Heaven's Gates is a really big one. There's a lot of different cults that like to structure itself in the same way. Like, it feels as if, number one, you got to remove them from the group, isolate, make them believe that they are not just alone, but directionless. That's a main state, because of people are very easily not just swayed, but they're willing to listen to the direction that you are going to give them if they themselves feel lost. That's kind of the same way we see with a lot of like people in incels community. And if you're able to give someone direction, that's why we get so many people that are just inherent incels, where they're like, you know what, women hate me. They never love. Girls never see me as anything. I'm always invisible. They should have just became emo, but instead they decided to be just terrible individuals. But that's a whole other thing. They're easily swayed because it's like, oh yeah, no, I'm giving you an answer to your flawed thinking. The reason why your thing is not working, I have the exact answer that you are listening. I have the exact answer that you are looking for, and not just the fact that you're looking for him. Guess what? It's not you. It's not your fault. It's not your fault at all. These are the people. Oh, no. You are a fantastic individual. And then we're even moving on. The charismatic leader. That's where I feel like a lot of like it reminds me a lot of like mega churches too, where you get like a Joel Osteen, or who's that other guy? There's the old guy that always looks like he's like fighting a demon, but behind his eyes, you know, the don't they accused him of calling everyone that was on a plane a demon. Kenneth Copeland. Yes. He looks like he's about to drop every second. It looks as if he's scared. He looks like he's scared because he knows exactly where he's going after. He looks like he's old enough to see the first birth, like that guy, that guy, right? I've always found it interesting how charisma is it's not just important, but if you do not have it, they will not follow you. And it also reminds me in cults where it's like, folks are willing to denounce all of their personal living, give them all their money because they're not going to need it where the place that they are going. They're willing to renounce everything that they believe in, all because of this guy tells you to. And those are also some main characteristics of mega churches. And let's hold that real quick. I've jumped back into my Bible recently. I've been going back to church, and one of the things that I've noticed, you definitely feel better when you go, right? And I could definitely see how folks are able to take advantage of people when they are in that state, because it's like, and not only, it's kind of like the same reason why everyone turns to God anytime things are going wrong, or not just when things are going wrong, but everything just feels overwhelming. And not even to mention when you are seeing the path that you are going isn't really like doing that much for you. You are far more likely to be like, you know what, I'm gonna just turn back. I'm gonna ask the Father. I'm gonna ask the Father to figure out what's going on, right? I've noticed that I just needed to find the right church, because of I've been to a lot, right? I've been to a lot of different ones. African, white, evangelist, been to a couple of black churches, but I've recognized I've been to far too many and I've recognized that I've been to far too many white churches for me to like not just be comfortable, but believe the preachings that are being given, right? And I've always found it interesting because of people tend to go not just where they're wanted, but where they're appreciated, right? And it's always hurt, right? Because you'd go to church and then the pastor would say something that's like, sure, it might push against something that you believe in, But then it gets to the point where it's like, oh yeah, no, I cannot be here. This is ridiculous, right? But I just don't find it comforting, but I also find it necessary, because of, if I feel like the thing you talking about is not just blasphemy, but just like idiotic on like the human level, I don't think that I could follow the type of teachings on to the next. But let's get back to, and if I can't follow your basic, if I believe your preachings on the personal, regular human level is just idiotic, and your ideas that you're spewing are just like nonsense to me, I cannot imagine, I cannot even fathom trying to follow you on the religious aspect also, because it's like, now things are getting more important. I need to know not just where you stand, but like where your thought processes are going. And I feel like that's I also find that very interesting to me, because of, I've always had a problem with going to different churches, because of, I've always felt like people are obsessed with their pastor, where they believe that not only can their pastor do no wrong, but you know what? Your pastor has to be in every part of your lifestyle. Like, I remember I was talking with my parents about this, where they would not just give tithe, right? Some people give tithe, some people don't. That's your own. If you got it, you got it. If you don't, you don't. But they would ask them about like a mortgage, or they would ask the pastor about like the school to send the kids to. Or I heard this one person talking about like, oh yeah, no, I want to buy this car, but I need to get the pastor's blessing first. I'll always look and be like, wait a minute. Huh? And I've always, and it's always crazy, because I was like, so you're adding a guy that don't know too much about, like, they know a lot about the religious aspects that they have went to school for, and they've studied and they've read the book over and over and over again, and really have some real theologian experience, but then transferring that to like everything? Is that not crazy? Am I wilding? I feel like I'm wilding when I tell people that, because folks are looking at me like, oh, you know, you gotta go to the pastor. They got to lead you. They're the ones that's gonna lead you. I'm like, I'm gonna lead me. And I feel like that's just part of growing up, where it's, things get a lot more serious, and you're able to be like, you know what? I believe in me far more when you know that you're the ones that are paid for the bills that you are living, right? And as you're sitting there wondering, what? Where did you learn about the economics of the world? Do you know what you're talking about? And I always find it interesting where people go for not just like couple counseling, but like marriage counseling as well, because it's, one, everyone lives a different life. Two, the relationship that your pastor has with their wife is completely different than the one that you are going to have with your own. And it gets to the point where it feels like it's self-sabotaging to go for everything to be with the church. The resolve, and not just the resolve, but like the level of adornment that folks have for their pastors is something that was really shocking to me the more that I go to church, because behind every pastor, or inside every pastor, is also, for most time, a man, and a man's gonna do what a man gonna do, right? And when you go up there and you on stage and you spitting game, and you talking that talk, you talking that word is upon you, I know that there's a part of you that just gets intoxicated with the eyes of man is on you, right? Because it's like, you are, for all intents and purposes, performing in front of a crowd. You are the star of that home you are in. It kind of reminds me of The Glass Onion, the third one that was recently posted, right? It kind of reminds me of The Knives Out, the third one, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, even though the chapel might be small, but that's the man, that's the guy. There's only 15 people in here. And you know what? There used to be a lot, but I'm going to begin to dwindle it down, because of, I would rather have folks that are completely devoted to me than people that are wishy-washy in and out. I'm going to say things to get you mad, angry, make you want to hate me, to get you to leave. Because if you stayed, at what point is it too much for you? I've already called you everything upside the head, and you still stay. So, hey, I'm your God. It's me. You're following me. And I feel like when you give all that power to a man, there's no good that can come from that. There's no good. It can't be. And the more that I talk with different pastors too, and people that go to like different churches, and you start hearing about like the scandals that be broken out, if it's insane to me how many, not just infidelities, but folks doing things that they should not be doing at all. And some way, somehow, majority of it swept over the rug. The other parts that are actually like brought to light, it's like, oh yeah, he just had a moment of non-clarity. The temptation's been tempting him, and he just succumbed to the temptations. And I find that wicked. I find that crazy. But church is fun. Church is, you know what? Hold on. Let's sit and talk about that. Church has been fun for me. Yeah, church has been fun because of not only like the songs and dance, especially at a black church. You hear motherfuckers that can like actually sing, that actually can blow vocals. That shit was hard. It was nice. It was fun. And all the pastors that I've seen so far are like also very charismatic, because if you do want someone that is obscenely charismatic to be in that type of role, because it's like, well, the talented will pervade. Like there's a reason why you are up there. There's this grace that you are given, especially in the context of the church, where it's like, oh yeah, no, everybody there actually like wants you to do well for the most part that I've seen, right? So it's like and you are given so many different, not just benefit of the doubts, but people are willing to be like, oh yeah, no, they want, like I was saying earlier, they want you to succeed in that space, because it's like, yeah, no, we're not going to keep having you on, and you will get better up here. But that's beyond the point. Who gonna be the boys? I've been seeing that sentence everywhere, all throughout my social media. You know what? That's the problem. I'm on social media. You know, people just be saying stuff. And that sentence, it doesn't just trigger me, but it makes me fall into this like existential crisis, because it feels as if folks truly do not want the growth of men. They do not want the men that they are yearning for. Let me explain. With the implementation of social media inside all of our life, there's an inherent want and need for aesthetically not just pleasing visually, but aesthetic embracing individuals, where folks are actively self-surveilling their whole life. They're taking videos of the food that they're eating, the books that they're reading, the places that they're going, the dresses that they're dressing, everything about an individual is being put upon the internet for people to be viewed, and they hope and pray that it look good. They want it to look appealing to people's eyes. They want people to like look at that and be like, Pinterest worthy. Double tap. From the way that people do their hair, to the way that people are dressing, to the jeans, to the matcha and books they are reading. They want to be seen as a greater being, as something that's more pleasant. And that is very new. I will say that's very new for men, right? Because I've noticed, at least we're gonna go from the body and outward to visual aspects of the cells, right? Because we've seen, at least in the past like 4 or 5 years, where all the way till like 2020, when everything got shut down and everyone was on there's influencers everywhere. People were like, you know what? I'm just gonna be a gym influencer. I'm be in the gym 24/7. I'm gonna make myself look as good as possible. In the rise of steroid use. And we're going to talk about gymflation in a bit, but the rise of steroid use, the rise of men obsessing over their body in a way that isn't akin to a 16-year-old girl, but that's, again, only a small piece of the puzzle. And I find it interesting because men have this way of abusing themselves, where they're willing to fall in line because another man is quote unquote like better than them. Like they're far more objective in a lot of conversation when it comes to stuff like that. Like, have you ever heard a group of girls, they'd be like, oh, you know, all my friends are pretty, but it's like, you can't really, it's like, I guess. But like with guys, they're like, oh, yeah, no, he's not the best. He's a nice guy. They're willing to be honest when it comes to like a look, just be objective about it, because it's like, hey, we would not want to put our friend in a position to be like, oh, yeah, no, he actually looks like a can of dried paint with some yak in it. You feel me? And there's been a lot of societal pressure, especially alongside steroid use, the images that folks are being seen, especially that lines up with the change in the type of media that folks are consuming, where we've had a rise of superhero as well. Superhero, not just genre of like movies, but TV shows. There's been an inflation of that's been through the roof, where we are seeing these male bodies that are just Thor, who's the guy from Fight Club? Brad Pitt, like stuff of that nature. Folks that have 6-packs, 8-packs, shoulders to the yay high. Everybody must be built like a superhero. And that was early 2020s. Now we're hitting the mid 2020s, where social media and phones are everywhere that we are seen. And not even to mention, I've always found it kind of pushes us. It kind of pushes us to want to be that type of shape. Like, we want to be Thor. We want to look like a superhero. But now it's getting even crazier. It's getting even crazier. Like, if you're to ask someone what's their dream physique, you might get hit with an anime character. And guess what? There's men that will look you deep in the eye and be like, oh, yeah, no, if I train hard enough, I'll look like Garo. I'll look like Goku. Like I really will. As long as I just keep pushing, I will look like Toji. Folks are really trying to look like Toji out here. And that is the fastest way for body dysmorphia to kind of not just take a hold upon who you want to be, but it's such an abrasive feeling where you feel as if you should look like this mythical Greek god for the sake of being even slightly pleasant. And guess what? That's not even for the women. That is not even for the women. Because if you were to ask some girls what's their ideal body type, they'll be like, well, I want him to look like I want him to look like he lifts once a week, but still has fantastic shoulders and can throw and catch me up and down. You know, just the basics, which is also very. You know what? I think everybody does it. I think nobody has like an accurate no one has an accurate description of what they want somebody else to look like and what it actually takes to look like that image that's in their head. That's something in the actual physical aspect of it, right? And now let's look at the more outward approaching where it comes to like outfits, and let's talk clothes, right? I have not seen a more well-dressed generation in a long time. Folks are dripped out in a way that I cannot fathom, bro. I have some of my youngins, bro. What the hell do you mean your sweatsuit is from Dior? What do you mean you're on Grail for all your clothes? What do you mean Depop is the only place you shop? You don't go outside for shopping. Why would you do that? The only thing you go outside for shopping is for basketball shoes. I'm getting Tim's online. What? Varsity jacket? Boy, please. This is a 1976 Dutch soccer team from this is a Dutch soccer team from 1973. This is niche, baby. And guess what? It's all this money too. But there's been a consensus. There's been a more not concise, not the right word that I'm feeling, but as we go down this niche timeline where everybody has like a very specific outfit choice and things of that nature, we have gotten to the point where people are trying to dress in such an aesthetically pleasing Pinterest way, where every single picture that they want to take. It's gonna look to the 9 to the 10th degree fantastical. It's not just gonna look great, it's gonna look transcendent. You're going to want to be me. And guess what? They're on their phone and they are finding these fits. Like, this is the only thing that they're trying to do is dress impeccable because they're not going to have anything else to show for it, right? And I've also noticed, it feels like men are slowly encroaching on female girlhood recently, particularly in a way where actually caring about the way that they're presenting themselves is now being seen as not just, I don't really call it a threat because it's like, that's pretty hyperbolic. But people are now questioning people's sexuality based off of how much that they're willing to take care of themselves. And it's so shocking to me because of, it's like basic things, right? From like nail care to actually going and getting haircuts frequently, actively. I remember I was, bro. You ever invite someone, this is pre having a girlfriend, bro. You ever invite somebody over and they just like, they running through your whole apartment like, man, what woman was here? You have a carpet. What was this? What's going on? And I feel like for the most basic things, it's kind of insulting. I will say that. It feels kind of insulting. And it feels kind of insulting because it's like, if a woman wasn't here, wait, you clean behind the toilet? Nah, you're gross. Of course you don't clean behind the toilet. You don't cut your nails. What are you doing? Like, nah, women do that. And I feel like these very basic, like just cleanliness, for example, should not be so defined as anti-man. Like men just do not do these type of things, because it kind of pulls me back to what I was saying earlier, where there's such a low bar for men, where everything else a guy does is seen as fantastic. It's seen as amazing because the bar was set in hell. And it gets me thinking, right? As the bar is set so low, and there's, I'll say it like this. Men have done me so much favors by being mid, because of, I just gotta do the basic things right, and I'm seeing above and beyond. You ever open the door for somebody? You ever just plan like a basic date? Act like they gave you the world. Like, that's crazy. Very, very basic things, right? And I find it kind of, honestly, heartbreaking. It feels kind of heartbreaking the more that I think about it, because of, it feels as if, I say it a lot, it feels heartbreaking because of this rhetoric, right, of who gonna be the boys, and alluding to being homosexual or not liking women's is not what you're thinking about. It feels as if you're going to try and push men into the wrong direction, instead of embracing these quote unquote traits that you're seeing as feminine, looking towards them and be like, nah, that's not for me. It's not going well. I don't like this. And it's always about the dumbest thing ever, the most unserious thing ever. And that's why it so frustrates me, because we could live at such a high level of life, and it starts to hit me heavy, especially as a black man, because of, there's already this obsession with this hypermasculinity that has been pushed upon black men. And I will also even mention, it feels as if all masculinity is based off of the context of black men. And it gets so frustrating when folks try and put on this, not just a front, but they try and force you to live out the experience that they want you to live. They need you to match whatever stereotypical hosh-bosh is up here for them to be able to be like, viewed as comfortable in their own body. And it's like my own, not just my own worth, but my own self-image cannot be based off of your own. It's impossible and it's unnecessary because you do not know what you are talking about. And it's always hurt where, and one of the things that I notice, it feels as if folks are reverting back into this like stereotypical gripe of the way that they want others to perceive themselves by masquerading as this like black image, right? Where it's like trying to act like tough, trying to act like you are more physically imposing, trying to get into little bits of arguments and beefs and things of that nature because like you feel like that's what a masculine man does. But it feels like not only is that a caricature, but it's a racist caricature upon a lifestyle that you do not know what it is about, right? Because of like, you ever mess with somebody and they're like, oh no, I thought you would actually act like this because you're black, right? And it's found its way into my life in very like specific instances where folks are being not just like racially like stereotypical, but this caricature, right, upon what it means to be black and a man, especially when I know that you do not care about black male bodies, right? It feels as if the only way to satiate that feeling within you is by reacting and overcompensating this personality trait that you believe that I'm going to exhibit towards you, that I just find insane. So one of the watchers from one of the last videos, they asked me, what do I think about work wives and work husbands? You're a funny guy. You're a funny guy. And yes, I read everything, every email that is sent. I will read it. And you know what? I will respond to it. So, the work experience is a funny one. Because in the world of work, you do not behave the way that they know you differently. It feels as if you can lean on their shoulder a little bit more because y'all are experiencing the same type of traumas. It's a lot working at the job that you are. It feels you need somebody that's able to know the life that you live, that your spouse they just don't see you. They just don't see you like your work folk do. And when I tell you, y'all better stop this shit. Maybe you better stop it. Oh my God. I've been to so many different jobs where I start seeing people like canoodle and they start beginning to catch feelings for each other, and then they doing this, then they hug your girl from the back behind, try to smell their hair while they were supposed to be making your chicken nuggets at McDonald's. I've seen folks at Amazon throwing around your boxes, and I'm talking about your significant other. I've seen them playing patty cake with your patty cake, and it's harmful. It's depressive. It's sad. It gets to the point where they just canoodling where they should not be. And you know what? It's cheating. Having a work husband, work wife, work anything is cheating. Y'all actually like y'all coworkers. Y'all like your coworkers that much? You know what? I've always sat on this belief of I refuse to shit where I eat. That is evil. I will never possess myself into doing something so heinous for the love of the game. Because brother, first of all, I don't know how people are able to get away with it, because of y'all might still say it's something platonic, something chill, but once you put that label on it, I know you feeling something. I know that you know what you doing is wrong. You talking about wife? Not even girlfriend, not boyfriend, husband what? We signed too many documents over here. I run a very strict program. That's evil work. That's evil work. Oh, I remember I used to work at this old job. I remember I quit I quit real early because they was messing with time cards and things of that nature. But I was always hearing stories about folks canoodling on the clock, and they be doing this and talking about da-da-da-da-da-da. But I always found it interesting because of in my ear, I be hearing stuff from the side of it. Because I remember there's this one dude and one girl, right? It was at an undisclosed location. I'm not going to snitch. I won't snitch. They both had significant others outside of work. And anytime that I would hear them talk about their significant others, they would just be like, oh, I hate them. 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 Everything deep inside, I hate them. They're like, yeah. I love seeing you at work because of you're just so fun, and it's like a home away from home. First of all, wait a minute, and the way that I am, I know how to feign ignorance. I'm just gonna look this way, but my ears, they working that way. It's shooting that way, and I'm starting to get information. You ever hear somebody say, "You are my home away from home"? I feel like that's a body right there. Boom, boom. As I'm watching, right, I'm listening, I'm taking it in. And I always realize, wait, y'all work the same shift. Y'all always work the same shift. So y'all see each other for 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours, 12 hours, 8 hours. Okay. Y'all having that much one-on-one time. You seen them more than you see your actual spouse. You seen them more than you seen your spouse. I feel like something ain't adding up. And at first, I didn't know they was canoodling. But the way it got me, they would always take breaks together. They would always take they 15, they take their 30s together. And they would never be in the break room. Was I looking for them? No. But things just got put together very quickly. I remember there was late. Our breaks were pretty short. They're I think 30 minutes, and some people would throw their 15 on their 30 and just move on that way, right? And when they did that, they take an extra 15. You know what? It don't matter to me. I'm gonna keep pushing. They're 30 minutes late. I'm like, okay, well, this is officially a lot of work for me now. A whole hour passes. They come back sweaty. I'm talking about beads of sweat on both sides. I'm like, you SO, you was out here enjoying yourself. Y'all were enjoying yourselves. I'm snitching. Someone gotta hear about it. Somebody gotta know. I ended up not telling nobody, but still, that's the day that it all clicked. It all got put together. I started asking some other people around about it, and they're like, oh yeah, no, they be doing stuff. Yeah, they be, yeah. And I'm like, oh. For sure. On company time. Enjoy yourself. But beyond that, I feel like the American culture inherently lends itself into forcing people into their insecurities, especially in the context of work. Because it feels like work and marriage are very separate for most people. And marriage is a thing that is very dread upon in this country. And even beyond just the obligations of marriage itself, it's seen as this seems like not just a lot of work, but it feels like the worst thing that you could do for yourself. Seems like getting married, at least in the eyes of society, because folks will tell you that, oh no, it's a good thing, it's a great, you find the person that you love and you just move on. But I've always heard when it comes to marriage, it is not just the hardest, but it's the drainiest. Oh, you're going to hate your partner by the time you're 50, but y'all going to be together too long for you to be like, let's just go our own separate ways. It's like, no, y'all going to force yourselves to stay together until y'all 70. And by the time y'all 70, y'all ain't bad bitches anymore. So y'all can't find anything else. And guess what? You just waiting to die now. That seems to be the overarching that seems to be the overarching theme when it comes to aspects of trying to find marriage, especially in the United States of America. And it's not that it's wrong. It's not that it's objectively wrong. But I will say the PR for marriage is the worst. It's the absolute worst. You ever seen some... And I feel like it even stems from like the movies and like the kids shows that people watch, especially for young girls, because of like just recently Disney stopped making every single Disney princess get married at the end of every goddamn movie. It was by the end of the movie, you best believe that lady is pregnant. It's full. There's gonna be kids on the way. That is the only way that she's gonna find happiness. And I've always found that to set the not just but guess what? Your marriage day, that wedding will be the greatest, will be the most fantastical moment of your life, where every young woman dreams of it and they want it and need it. I'm sitting back. And not only does that feel very alienating, like as a man too, because it feels, especially in the culture of America, that day is not about you. You are the last person that anybody gives a damn about. It's her day. It's her day to feel like a princess. You aren't gonna enjoy any of it. And I feel like that's kind of what pushes that's what pushes the narrative into where a lot of men just like kind of tune out when it comes to like picking anything in a marriage, and what it feels like a lot of men just naturally just tune out when it feels as if men just naturally tune out when it comes to like wedding planning, because like, well, none of this is about me and no one's gonna ask me, this is all gonna be about her. And then wait, honestly, I think that's part of like the overarching theme when it comes to marriage inherently, where it's like, well, this is all for her and I'm just like meandering through the house that we live in. I'm meandering when it comes to like trying to plan dates. I'm just like, I guess I'm gonna do the dishes and do some cleaning and blah, 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 blah. And then it puts men in this predicament where it's like, yeah, no, you're just like going through the motions all the way through your marriage. And I find that to be very interesting narrative, because me personally, I'm going to be picking a lot of stuff when it comes to my wedding. It'll be my day. I'm going to be the man bitch. I'm going to be a man bitch. And I know this kind of ties into the earlier parts of who going to be. No. That's the last video. Who gonna be the boys? Watch that last video and come back here. So Jujutsu Kaisen just dropped their new season 3. It's been hectic, and I want to talk about perfect preparation. Fantastical episode. Okay. This is not really gonna be a recap, but I'm gonna hit out some points. Yeah, it was a hectic episode. I'm not gonna lie. I had to take a moment. I literally watched it about 2-3 times. So starting this off, it's so crazy to me that Maki pulled up to the Zenin clan. No preparation. No. Let me not say that. I find it so crazy she pulls up there with no heavenly restricted activated. She literally just got burnt up, fixed herself up, and then pulled up. That's it. Maybe a little extra training with some sword work with the new weapon that she got, but nothing crazy. She was pulling up the same. She was just pulling up saying, I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to get my folks gone. I'm gonna murk all y'all. That was her plan. And guess what? She still pulled up their 10 toes. And you know what? That's why I respect her, bro. She pulls up their 10 toes and then she goes and gets. But I will say, I do like all the underlining themes and how consistent it was throughout this whole episode, because of not to mention, this Zenin clan have not just been abusing her and bullying her, but they've been doing that to her twin sister, right? They've made it to the point where living there under this like misogynistic patriarchal rule was not just inevitable for their life, but it seemed as if the only way to succeed is to bow down and accept the land that you were given. This is just going to be your life, and you better like it. You are never going to achieve nothing. You're going to stay here and rot like your mother. That seems like the life that they try to give them, right? And I liked how they separated Maki and Mai, and the way that they pushed past this mistreatment. Like, Mai's whole existence, right? She didn't want to be jutsu. She didn't want to be a sorcerer. She didn't really want to fight. She wanted to just live the small life that she was given, and just go on from there, and just like hopefully get pregnant, have some kids, and that's the end all be all, right? But Maki, on the other hand, she's like, no, you will not treat me like this. I am strong. I am physically strong. I know I don't got no cursed energy, but you best believe I'm going to fight. And honestly, I feel like that's why she was one of my more appreciated characters, especially Toji is a top 3, top 4 character for me, but I feel like Maki had a harder time coming into who she was in totality, because it was like, you know that one saying where it's like, well, you could be talking about that ish when you're up, but when you're down, are you still talking? You still barking? Are you still as confident as ever before? Or are you only confident when you have the higher hand? And you know what? She was confident through and through. She knew what was right. She knew what she was going to fight for, and she knew that she was continuing to fight for it until her last breath. And it doesn't matter about the family structure. It doesn't matter how you try to hold me down, but I still will proceed. Like, I was watching, bro. She fights her dad, Ogi, right? Gets murked. He cuts her all the way up. Whoops her ass. Belt to butt, the whole 9 yards, right? There ain't much you could do about it. You can just accept it and move on. She gets cut because she cannot see his cursed power. He can't see the flames. He can't see the sword, right? She thinks she thought she broke the sword, but she's like, well, that's your problem. You living on this realm. You're not on our level. And guess what? You might think just because you're having a heavily packed that you're something important, something special. Told you wasn't special, and you weren't special. And guess what? Do you know why my life sucks? It's because of you. And I hated that so much because of, I know there hasn't been that much background. We don't really know how strong of a character he was, but that seems like such hope. Because it's, your power seems to boil down to flames. A very, very simple attacks, very one-dimensional. And that's why you were not able to lead to become the head of the Zenin clan. You could have had more kids. You could have done so much more to put yourself in position to succeed, but now you're blaming your daughters. And now you're going to kill your daughters by your own hand. And guess what? I like how it literally, like, storybooks his ending, where the death of the Zenin clan, but let's go Ogi first, was the fact that he brought them two together to die together, right? And that's what triggered Maki's heavenly pact, making her the next Toji Fushiguro, the next one. But there's also this those that do not learn their lesson are bound to repeat it, right? Where since they did not accept Toji as one of their own, or one of value, because he didn't have any source energy, now you're dealing with this because of you are not able to not just learn, but to truly be able to evaluate talent. Because of, I was thinking about this the other day. Toji was literally like their second most important. He was the second most important asset in their whole clan. He was the most because of, first you get the 10 shadows, and that is very tricky because it's just Magaraga. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. That's the only reason why that's such a powerful move. It's that guy. What that represents. And the overt adaptation that he creates. That is what was so powerful within the Zenin clan. But you're like, you're just going to just throw him away. Throw Toji away. Just go ahead. The one guy that was able to sneak Gojo, let's throw that guy away. Just because that he was not a part of this jujutsu world and you do not respect that. And now guess what? You just got one-shotted. Head cut off. I'm not gonna lie, it made me want to shed a tear watching Mai die, because it's like, Mai never wanted to be a part of this. She was willing to be abused. She was willing to live that fate. But the fact that she was able to sacrifice herself because she knew that the only way for them to get revenge was in the hands of Maki. I'm low-key, I'd be starting to think, what would have happened if Maki was the one that died instead of Mai? Was Mai gonna get like some crazy power boost based off that? But back to the story. I loved the scenes where Maki was truly activated and she recognized like, oh yeah, no, this was what I was missing. It kind of reminds me of when Gojo got like awoken to like the hollow purple, right? When he was able to figure out how to truly use all his power. Because it's like, okay, I have been operating at a tenth of what I truly could have been doing, the type of destruction I could really be putting on people. And I needed this moment more than any to really see how grand all of this was supposed to be and was going to be moving on, right? And the absolute fear that everybody was feeling when they're like, oh, Toji's back. Can we stop sucking his meat? Can we stop it, please? Can we stop sucking his meat? Because of everyone's like, oh yeah, no, new Toji. It's just Toji's power. But it's like, no, this is hers. This is her coming to fruition. This was, and honestly, I like the way that they were not just describing the fear, right? But everybody knew they were cooked the second that she was popping out, all like the lower levels, because they were so scared. They were feeling it. And honestly, when she started fighting, when she started actually like boxing and throwing hands on people, right? She was doing them bad. There were so many scenes. First of all, this Kill Bill inspiration, I was really messing with. The fact that she was gliding and just like moving so elegantly upon all of her enemies, all of her cousins' blood, really was a lot. It was a lot. Honestly, I feel like there should be more scenes of enemies running away from her than there was. They were trying to go ones. They was trying to jump her. I find it crazy that the whole clan tried to jump her and she was like, yeah, no, y'all, I'm a murk all of y'all. I literally have to. This must be a horror film to them because she was mid. She was mid the whole show. And now she comes back like, yeah, no, I'm top 5. I'm literally top 5 in the verse now. I'm literally right as I am right now. I'm better than all y'all. And the watching folks explode when she threw her sword and then the sword had a mind of its own and just started slashing on everybody. I said, yeah, y'all are cooking. This animation is beautiful. When I tell you, I have never been so hyped for a manga. When I was reading through these, I said, yeah, once they animate this, John, one of one. I don't think there's gonna be a more peak moment ever because of when they were monitoring this jumping, right? I was like, oh yeah, things are just like disappearing. 1 second you have an arm, the second you have nubs. 1 second your neck is looking this way, and the other one it's in the floor that side. There's a scene where bro she goes and cuts off his arms, right? The arm flails away and stabs another mug in the head. Crazy. But yeah, it was crazy boxing. And not even to mention, the Earth style bender, right? Where he pulls up with I'll put it like this. One of the reasons why I like Jujutsu Kaisen in general, right, is they have a lot of like interesting fighting techniques. Like with the Earth guy, what he pulls up out of nowhere. And wait, let me explain it better. I enjoy how this show is written because of there's so many little nuances that are highlighted. Like you're watching when the one Earth guy, right? He was in the corner, and the only reason why Maki was able to notice that he was there is because of he had the killing intent. She still can't feel she could not feel any of the cursed energy that was building up to do the move until he was literally ready to unleash it. I was like, that's tough. Because you literally out of nowhere, you're just here like, what the fuck? And then she goes, right? And watching how she goes and murks everybody, it pained me when bro was trying to hold her in place with his psychic abilities. And that slow Toji's brother's an asshole. An asshole. He was walking, taking his time. He was trying to oral farm. And he says, all right, here's my power. Dust settles. Big explosion. And out of nowhere, bro thinks he won. He's bleeding from his eyes and mouth and neck. Everywhere is bloody, right? And Maki walks by, holding the head. Holding Toji's brother's head. Walking by, swinging that John, throws that shit into the river. Bah! Cooked. And guess what? She ain't even breaking a sweat yet. The big bad guy pulls up. Noya, the guy that wants to be the actual head of the family, gets his ass, bro. He's using some speed boost. First of all, watching this fight, the animators, y'all be animating some crazy stuff, bro. When they were animating the scene where it's like 6 of them and they jump in their boxing, pop, 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 pop. Fire. There's so many different scenes where it's like, oh my god, y'all took y'all time when y'all are animating this mug, right? And then let me speed run all the way to the end. They spexing, they fought it. Speed versus strength is fire. And bro starts sprinting. He starts using his speed. First of all, before I even get there, this dick sucking of Toji needs to stop. The moment he met Toji, right? He was trying to gloat. He was trying to talk that ish. Walks up. Let me see the pitiful face. The pitiful man that has no cursed energy. And he looks up, mouth wide open. Wide open. I know he's a child, but he's like, wow. Now that's a man. That's a man. And you know what? I do not like how bro is moving, because of even beyond, we can talk about the misogynistic tones, but it seems as if his manhood was broken from that point forward, and he's getting this inherent embarrassment off of the fact that he is fearing this lady. He's in fear of Maki, right? And then as the fight goes on, he tries to do his finishing move. He's speeding up. He's sprinting. He's like, oh yeah, I got you. And then he gets his face obliterated. Head explodes. Actually, not explodes, but concaves inward. Hyped. Oh my god, that was fire. Oh my god, speed up a little bit. And then after the fight's done, Maki goes and finds her mother. I would not just be scared, but I would have this overwhelming like fear of Maki, especially in this instinct, because of she's literally been walking around, been murking everybody, and now she found you. And I feel like the mom knows. She knows that she did not protect her children. She knows that she put them up for the fires, for all of the mistreatment that they had to endure all throughout their lives. And it seems to be Noya was doing even crazier stuff than that. But beyond that, we'll see how they animate that, right? And I love how they let her do the final blow, stab that mug in the back. But all right, y'all. Thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and we're out. Make sure y'all stay safe in Minnesota.